Alright, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, the honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, Wa'akwath, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. Another video to the Spirit. It's your brother Malak from GMS Detroit. Hey, and this right here, I know some of y'all have seen this situation, the Metcalf, right? Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony. A fight broke out between some young white males and a young black male, and it resulted in the so-called young white male being stabbed in the heart, right? The media spin, per usual, black folk are violent, savage criminals. All that good stuff, per usual. And granted, there's a wide population of our people that are into a debased culture. No excuse for that, no exemption for that. But do not let this event fool you. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the biblical Edomite, the antithesis and antagonist of the Israelites, are opposite. Do not forget that he is the red horse. The so-called white man is the most violent individual on the planet Earth. That's why every opportunity he gets, he likes to use the news media to spin the narrative, to make the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to look to be the violent savages who had to be conquered and can't control themselves. Do not forget that these people are slaughterers, butchers, murderers, rapists, truce breakers, bomb-dropping planet crackers. Don't let this little event distract you. And I just did the video recently. Even in the United States, the so-called white man does more crimes. They do the highest amount of crimes. I proved that with the FBI statistics and whatnot. They beat us in all categories except for one. So don't let the narrative fool you. But this just goes to show you, dealing with the video I did yesterday, right? That perpetual hatred, or the other day, that perpetual hatred. Every excuse they can to point the finger at you, they will. And really, they're the thug of the earth. They're the nigga, if you will. So let's let some things play. Let's come back. Let's get this.
To live around black people. I just don't. It would be irresponsible if I had a wife and kids to live near black people. It just would be. And that's not to say that every black person is violent. It's not to say that every black person is the same way. But we watch the news. We read the papers. When you drive downtown in Chicago, you know who you got to look out for and worry about when you're thinking about whether you're going to get carjacked, when you're worried about catching a stray bullet, when you're worried about who's going to pull up on the side of the road and literally shove a rifle in your face and steal your iPhone, or shoot you point blank, execution style, in Lincoln Park. We know who's doing it. I don't want to live near them. I don't want to be near them. They make me nervous. That's a survival instinct. And the way this story unfolded, it's sort of interesting. Apparently this white student, this Austin Metcalf, confronted a friend of the killer, presumably black also, and said something like, hey, you're sitting in the wrong spot. You're in my spot, something like this. And that's when the black guy jumped in and stabbed him to death. I don't want to live around.
So, y'all, I'm pretty sure some of y'all are familiar with the narrative, right? You can do something, you can do some digging around. Lil Austin wasn't so sweet and innocent, right? We track meet, the young black male, so-called, sat in an area he wasn't supposed to. So them young white boys ran up on him, and one of them ended up getting stabbed. Apparently, of course, there's different conflicting reports, but from what it looks like, y'all, the young so-called white males began to interrogate him, to ask him why he was there. and they struck the first blow. The young ninja pulled a knife out of his backpack and gave one fatal wounding, and that's basically it. And Esau's gone crazy with his media slander. Once again, we're not excusing the wickedness of our people. Hell yeah, living in the hood is a dangerous thing. But when you know our people, you know that the so-called white man is one of the most. You don't got nothing to worry about. Most so-called black Americans only commit crimes against one another and know not to touch you. Why is that? So this is one of those rare incidences where a young Negro does something to a white person. It happens very rarely. When you flip it, the so-called white man has done much evil to everybody down here on the earth. He says, you go through Chicago, you need to be worried. When when you need to be worried? If you discover oil in your country, you need to be worried because the white man is showing up. If you have a religion that tells you to cover up your woman, you need to be worried because the white man is going to show up. If you believe in a different so-called religion, you need to be worried because he's about to come show up and spread some democracy. If you want to speak a different language, you need to be worried because he's about to show up and make you speak some English. So I'm gonna get this out of Genesis real quick. If you touch Esau, Edom, what do you have to deal with? What was given to Cain as his protection? Genesis 4. I'll start right at 14. It says, "Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me." So the spirit that is in Cain went into the spirit. The spirit that is in Cain became the spirit of Esau, and the spirit of Esau, is the spirit of the so-called white man today, their forefather. They are fugitive and vagabonds in the earth. They have committed the crimes. They are wanted, yet they still exist and continue on without their punishment. That's keeping it real. Niggas do little petty crimes in the hood, steal from each other, kill each other, freak on each other's wives, right? Little gang violence, this and that. But who's doing all the evil on a global scale? Who has polluted the water? Who's polluted the air? So we can all point some fingers. Every nationality of people has done bad on this earth. But who's the real bad man? Don't get twisted by the little narrative. Verse 15, it says, "And the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him." Right? We know that mark was leprosy, his so-called white skin, which the Edomites carry to this day, to remind us that he is a murderer, as a matter of fact. The first murderer, dealing with Cain. You're the first. You slew Abel, and you lied to the Heavenly Father. That's your father, so-called white man. You're the first murderers walking the face of the earth. Even Adam and Eve didn't murder nobody. Come on now. So let me play some clips. I'm gonna play one clip that I had just used. Like I said, when the so-called white man shows up, that's when you need to be worried, because that's the real pillager and destroyer who everyone should be scared of. But he's convinced the world that he's an angel of light, and he's the red horse. Come to find out.
Another country to bring democracy. We go there for their resources, oil, metals, cheap labor. We don't go to bring democracy. We took this land from the Indians. We stole it. After we stole all the land we need, we put up the sign, "Thou shalt not steal." Democracy is a con game. It's a word invented to placate people, to make them accept a given institution. All institutions sing, "We are free." The minute you hear freedom and democracy, watch out. Because in a truly free nation, no one has to tell you.
Ran out of storage. Go back to it about halfway in.
Accept Because in a truly free nation, no one has to tell you you're free. Well, this system right now is moving toward fascism, cutting back on the freedoms, what little freedoms we had. We never had complete freedom. Social change cannot come about due to intellect. It comes about by people suffering. And the more people that are laid off, the more they lose respect for an existing government, they will seek another direction. If there are too many people seek a new direction, then the existing government calls upon the military and police to manage society. That's called fascism. We don't go to another...
Right, so a nigga might steal your purse, might steal your shoes, right? Might steal physical little things from you. But so-called white man, when he shows up, what does he take? Your country, your heritage, right? Your mind, brainwashing you, your freedom, force you to live under his way of life and his system. So who's really the big boogeyman of the earth? You get this other one? Because, you had Nick Fuentes talking his smack, and then, of course, Matt Walsh hops on. All right, and these guys are just basically, famous Edomite so-called race baiters, right? That's how they make their money, right? Stirring up the emotions of Edomites, because now Edomites are starting to feel marginalized and oppressed, and black people that now we're starving, all that bullshit. When these motherfuckers have been on a whole tear for the past couple of 100 years. Literally. Made covenants, broke them, lied, slit throats, burned down villages, raped children, and then made movies about it, called it Pocahontas. How about that one? Sarah Bateman, right? The big backsided black woman who they kidnapped, put her in a human zoo, sexed her up. She eventually died of STDs. Sally Mae, George Washington's black female lover slave. These people have a history of just slaughter, yet they always find the ability to point the finger at someone. Why? Because they're that fugitive and that vagabond in the earth, y'all. And if you touch them, you'll be punished heavily. That's why this Jake, it looks like he's being charged, right? That's dealing with the curse of Cain. If you touch an Edomite, you'll be revenged upon excessively, right? A young white male goes into a church and kills everybody, Dylan Roof, and comes out unharmed. They take him to Burger King on the way. Let a young black male go into a church of white folk and shoot it up, and he's not even making it to the jail. Right? So that sevenfold, the Heavenly Father has put a spirit of extreme retribution so that Esau could be preserved unto this day, because Cain would have got, he would have got wiped out. So this had to happen. So let's go to this right here.
People are especially upset at me this week, as best I can tell, because I have been speaking out about the murder of Austin Metcalf. And my take on the murder is that, first of all, it's bad, which is already very controversial among a large number of leftists. And also, second, I believe that his killing at the hands of Carmelo Anthony is part of a larger trend. And the larger trend is that young black males like Carmelo Anthony are, constantly killing people and committing other acts of violence. Young black males are the most violent demographic in the country, hands down, no contest. Today, I want to go through and watch some of the...
Hands down, no contest, huh? Who keeps shooting up these schools, huh? Who be shooting up movie theaters? Who be shooting up the supermarkets? Who dropped atomic bombs? Oh, hands down, they say.
Angry videos that have been posted responding to my comments on the Metcalf murder. Let's start with this video from a channel called Political Punk.
Dude, this is straight up Klan. I mean, it's coming from Matt Walsh.
And what clowns like Matt Walsh want to do is just put up a narrative. This ain't got nothing to do with race. Like I said, this is someone who was aggressive, was met with aggression. The young man made a mistake, you know what I mean? And he only stabbed him one time, so he obvious wasn't really trying to, it was uncalled for, and he shouldn't have had that knife with him.
Matt Walsh is a liability in terms of the so-called race narrative, okay? Long story short, as far as Matt Walsh is concerned,
Black folks just have this innate problem of being violent.
You say he made a mistake by stabbing Austin. No, sir, a mistake is opening.
Right, and that's the narrative. You know, we're monkeys. We descend from monkeys, so we're violent. Granted, right, our people under the curses. We understand why our people do what they do. You know, the evil eye towards one another. That's a part of the curses. Naturally, you know, what does it say? We're the former all things. So we're supposed to be, says what? Our women were so delicate, you know, feet wouldn't touch the ground, you know. We're upright, holy, caring people. When Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is dealing with us, we understand we're in this base state, you know, in the hoods and the ghettos and whatnot, because we transgressed against our power. So he's left us in this state. But you, the so-called white man, you are actually the nigga of the earth. You are naturally violent. You're a natural born killer. And you're trying to, you know, spin the narrative, get the blame off yourself. You're the bloodshedder. Remember, y'all, who is the red horse, and what does the red horse do in the earth? Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Who is this red horse? Esau, Edom. He is the man that's taken peace from the earth. And the Heavenly Father has blessed him with technology, his weaponry. And his ultimate weapon is what? The nuclear missiles. The so-called white man has entire countries under his reign of terror. I did a video some time ago, you know, FBI plots, right, that you didn't know about. The so-called white man has straight up started coups and overthrown governments, assassinated world leaders, tried to assassinate the former leader of Cuba, Castro, multiple times, right? They had a hand in Che Guevara's death, right? Patrice Lumumba had him put down. Salvador Allende, right, a South American leader, had him put down. Assassinated their own president, JFK. Assassinated another one of their own presidents, Abraham Lincoln. The so-called white man is the most violent creature walking the face of the earth. He's the one that's taken the peace and does nothing but kill and steal. Yet he's been able to point the finger at who? The children of Israel. That's why it says what it says in Revelation 12. This ain't a deep breakdown, but I'm just covering this topic because I find it interesting. You know, they got to find 1 in a million type of situation, and they always love to spice it up. But they don't like to highlight the millions of crimes that they do worldwide. Revelation 12 and 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our power, and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. So Esau is the accuser. He's always pointing the finger at us when the world's pointing the finger at him. Right? Who went to Vietnam dropping Agent Orange, which still has babies being deformed to this day? Right? Come on now. Don't be so easily distracted.
Where you going, brother?
Now I want to get this real quick. If y'all remember this interview from Kimu Kimboom, I want to play a particular little piece out of it.
Brother Campbell.
Miss me before we get ready. She was responsible for taking about 500 people, including about 300 bounds, what I have to say. Looking back on my life, I saw about 30 of my friends. So as I started to become more conscious, I looked around, I started asking this very important question. I think the most important question that I ask myself and that you can ask yourself is why? And I wanted to find out what was going on. So I began to change. I began to examine everything. I don't like to use the word critically, but I started to really check things out. So I went through a very, very serious change. I mean, serious change. And what my wife and I did, we decided that we were going to drop out from the system. We talked me into doing that, but it was beautiful, but it helped us deliver our children. years. That means no meat. And I want to emphasize that to you. We are in a war. We left New York and went to North Carolina, and we built our own house. We built a log house. Took us.
All right, so I'll let it play from this point. I found what I was looking for.
It's not just in America, but everywhere we go, our people are dying. So the things that are in operation on this planet is that white people want to kill us. I want you to understand that. They want to kill you. And it has nothing to do with what kind of degree you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of title you have, what fraternity you belong to, what religion you belong to. They want to kill you because that is part of their plan. There are any number of reasons why they want to do that. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure.
That's a perpetual hatred, right? We went over that the other day. And we know deeper it goes to the rival between Jacob and Esau, right? Cain and Abel, the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman, right?
Why they want to kill us. But I know that's what they want to do. And they want to do it in many different ways. Psychological, economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and biological, chemical, electromagnetic. They want to kill you. But they also want to make money in the process of your death. Now, I saw a brother when I was coming in, he was smoking a cigarette. So now he's going to kill himself, but they're going to make money off of his death process. The other thing is that they want us to, if they don't kill us, like they tried to kill the brother by beating him up in New Orleans, if they don't kill us that way, or shooting like they killed the brother in Cincinnati, or like they killed Malice Green in Detroit, or like they killed Greenwich up in Pittsburgh, if they don't come out right and kill us straight, they want to get us to kill ourselves. Now, these are the only two operations on the planet. The other thing is that there's only one nigger on the planet. I never use that word. This is the first time I've used it. I don't even think that word, but there's only one nigger on the planet. And the nigger that's on the planet is the one that is destroying the water, the one that's polluting the air, the one that is exploiting people and resources. And the only nigger on the planet is the white man and the white woman. And then our people are not niggers. We are imitation niggers. Now, what we have to do...
Right. So who's the real nigga of the earth? Esau Edom, a so-called white man. Hey, what is that? A niggard. One who is greedy. He's greedy over everything. He wants everything and everybody under his control. And what he really wants is the position and the power of the Heavenly Father, which does not belong to man. So who is the real nigga of the earth? And like he said, our people are imitation niggas. They only do what Esau Edom, the so-called white man, has taught them and allowed them, right? The so-called nigga culture. Who's the real bad man of the earth? Esau Edom. Let me get that real quick. Right here, Habakkuk 2 and 5. It says, "Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home." What does Esau like to do? Seduce the world with his philosophies, his way of life, his way of thinking, his way of operating, which is detrimental to existence. He'll give you cigarettes to slowly kill yourself and profit off of you in the process. He wants to make gain off of you while possessing you, like Dr. Camboon just said. He's a proud man, neither keepeth at home. What does he do? He invades everybody, everyone, everywhere at all times. It says, "Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." So who's the real violent one of the earth? Going around everywhere, setting up militaries, killing and conquering in the name of what? So-called democracy? When even people of your own government have admitted that they don't go on true liberation campaigns. All they do is go to take resources and oppress. That's the reality of what this man does when he's actually spreading democracy. So who's the real bad man in the earth? And who has the history of evil? Come on now.
When it comes to the laws, when it comes to segregation, when it comes to redlining, when it comes to loans, when it comes to a litany of things, when it comes to police brutality. This has been targeted towards a group of people solely off of the basis of the color of their skin. That's what that means. Now, I will argue that after, the first time someone gets a false arrest, that after the second time someone gets a false, allegation, that after the third time, the fifth time, after the 50 billionth time of, racists trying to target a black person saying, hey, he did this crime, and we all know that that didn't happen based off of our previous track record, yeah, more than likely people are probably gonna side with the black person. They're probably like, that probably didn't happen based off of what we know thus far, based off of previous accounts of this happening.
Damn.
I just find it interesting that the same people who are praising Daniel Penny are now vilifying Carmelo Anthony. Now,
Daniel Penny is the white man who choked out that so-called black man in the on the train in New York. So they kill. It's all right. We kill with the scumbags of the earth. I think ain't nobody supposed to be killing, right? Kyle Rittenhouse shot people down in the street. He's a free man. Your black ass sneeze next to a white woman, you getting locked up for the rest of the time. You see the hypocrisy, which Esau is, the greatest hypocrite on earth.
Only factor in this, just so we're clear, the only underlying common denominator in many of these cases, whether it's, Kyle Rittenhouse, whether it's, Amber Geiger, whether it's Ashley Babbitt, is that they're white. That's it. That's literally it.
And so he just named off so-called white folk, but the biblical Edomites. He just named off a couple that have committed murders and got off free, which is what these people do. They kill and skate off into the sunset. Not kill, murder. Excuse me. This is what they do, and they love to point and blame.
We have Ashley Babbitt, who everything wrong. You still have people trying to say, hey, the officer was in the wrong. Ashley Babbitt was in the right. You have Daniel Penny, black man. Now, I defended the homeless black man, not because he was black, but because it seemed a bit egregious to me that someone could take the life of another person who did no physical harm to anyone and didn't say anything threatening any individual on the train. As a matter of fact, that person was lied on from another person who said that they assaulted them, which turned out that wasn't the case. And I found it very perverse that there were so many people praising this man, including the President of the United States of America, having pictures with this man after he had just snuffed the life out of a homeless person who needed mental health. The same thing that they claim whenever there's a white kid who shoots up a school. Well, the issue isn't the gun, the issue is mental health. That's what we need to focus on. It's not a shocker to me how, especially when it comes to the right, how they try to vilify and persecute a black person that they deem to be unworthy. If they happen to be, part of the Sambo elite, okay, then they're okay. But if they happen to have actual, thoughts of their own, if they're not peddling,
So, they kill, they get a trophy. You do something, you going down, right? This is the common narrative. But this once again, it highlights the perpetual hatred, right? Esau is scrambling because truly all the fingers are being pointed at him in the earth. So now he's trying to shift blame. So let me get this real quick, right? And granted, we've sinned against the Heavenly Father. These heathen know that, and they attempt to use that as their excuse, right? That's Esau. They're, minorities. They're okay. But who's still the Edomite? Y'all are. And what's your destiny? To be destroyed. So no matter how much wickedness we do, you're not going to escape your punishment, Esau. And that's what he's trying to do. By painting us as the bad guys of the earth, he wishes to escape his judgment. And it's not going to happen. Jeremiah 50:7. It says, all that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So because we're in our debased estate, because we sinned against the Heavenly Father, the heathen feel blameless in their actions towards us. And that's how Esau gets down. He wants to avoid his justice by way of aiming the attention towards us, right? In which we are the Israelites. We are supposed to be down here living right. Many niggas are demons, and so they are going to die. But after all that's said and done, what's going to happen to you, Esau, Edom? What's going to happen to y'all? You're not going to like it. 1 Peter, was that 4 and 17, it says, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of the power. So our people are going to get judged. The wicked of our people that aren't following what Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai ordered us to, they are going to be punished. But then what? And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the power? And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? And the answer to that is nowhere. They're going to get destroyed. So Esau, Edom, you're not going to be able to shift the blame, to avoid the necessary punishment that you have coming to yourself. You're the wicked one. You're the evil one. Don't get it twisted. Yep, so that's about it, y'all. Just wanted to cover this situation. Typical Edomite behavior. Actually, I'm going to end it with an excerpt from this clip. If anybody remembers when Elder Malcolm highlighted this video.
The one who spikes your drink and the one who abuses you when you're in your numb and unconscious state is the one sitting next to you in the morning when you come to, holding your hand, your protector. Oh, it's insidious. Uncle Sam is a serial killer. The son of Sam's got nothing on Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is the most prolific, psychopathic, diabolical, demonic mass murderer in history. I mean, look at that poster again, that Uncle Sam poster, that I Want You poster. Think about that. You would think that a character who's supposed to represent the great democratic America would actually be asking the people, what do you want? Not demanding, I want you to go off into the meat grinder of World War I and World War II. Over 500,000 American soldiers killed in Europe and in Asia, thousands of miles from the United States. And then basically some 20-something years later, the same message is repeated. And it's heralded as a great quote, it's heralded as a great statement from John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Why? That's not how this works. Talk about gaslighting. Imagine if someone said that in a relationship. You know, I need you to do this and that and the other, and don't even ask me about what you need me to do for you. No, your government, your power structure hates you. But worse than hating you, they don't even respect you. And like I said, a major reason for that is that they have perfected the process of completely wiping out your memory. But the power structure has a memory. So you understand, that's what's really meant by history repeating itself. People think that this is some sort of natural law. No, it's not natural law. It's just the unchanged, consistent behavior of a predatory power structure. It's the law of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Meaning they've been doing the same thing for a very long time. And the system works for them. So they have no reason to change it. And they never will change it until you change. And that's why they want to make sure that you never know what's going on. They want to make sure that you never know what's been going on. And why they keep you basically like a crackhead. I'm serious. Just like a crackhead. The American population, is like a crackhead. Extreme desperation for short-term gratification. Complete memory blackouts. No recall of past consequences of their actions. Mood swings, volatile, erratic, can't cope with reality. And you'll sell your dignity just to get some relief. That's why they don't respect you. The same way that a drug dealer doesn't respect a crackhead. Because they can treat you any kind of way. And you'll accept it. You'll accept it as long as you can get a hit of propaganda, a hit of entertainment, a hit of distraction, or what have you. Anything to just help you forget the reality that you live in. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the condition of a people will not change until they move to change it themselves. And that's why they've neutralized you, because otherwise history might not repeat itself. Because they're the ones who are making history repeat itself by just continuing to do what they've always done. You understand what I'm saying?
So, the most evil people and country on this earth is that of America, ran by the Edomites. And it's indisputable. Everybody knows it. That's the whole point of this one.
See, this isn't cyclical. Horrible. You've been drinking blood your whole life. Try to come to terms with. Like I said, it's like finding out that your parent is a built-in incentive thing. Because it's actually better to just know nothing than to believe something false. The one who doesn't know anything can at least learn. They're at least empty, and information can be put in that emptiness. Whereas someone who already believes something false, thinks he already has the knowledge, thinks he already has the information, and that makes him immune to learning. But then, of course, there's also the fact that the history is so horrific, the history is so brutal, that there's already a built-in incentive to deny or to dismiss it. Because it can be absolutely soul-crushing to try to come to terms with. Like I said, it's like finding out that your parent is the BTK killer. How do you process that? Most people would just reflexively deny horrible realities because they've already built their whole life around the assumption that the reality that they live in is not horrible. You've been drinking blood your whole life thinking it's cherry Kool-Aid. You know, the torch of the Statue of Liberty isn't a guiding light, it's an arsonist's weapon. That's what burned down villages in Vietnam. That's what set fire to Iraq and to Afghanistan. And that's what lit burning crosses all over America. You've been living in an alternative universe. So-called white Americans are like Manchurian candidates, committing or being accomplice to heinous crimes decade after decade after decade, insulated by the hypnotic state of the false version of history that they believe. That's why I've said so repeatedly, your so-called civilization has betrayed you. Your so-called civilization has duped you. They got you to sign off on policies that they told you were for the protection of liberty and justice.
So I'll end on that. These people, you know, Esau, he loves to paint the finger, but he doesn't want to look in the mirror. And all these people buy and believe the lies, these Edomites. So that's it, y'all. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham. Rakakorash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings. Salutations to all of you like to Akim wa Aqua, learning, teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom.